Hello and welcome to the Art Hitman. I'm Perry McCants, and today I'm going to show you how to draw our famous wall crawler, the amazing Spider-Man. Alright, for Spider-Man, you want to start off by just simply dividing the page in half, and because he's going to be in a crawling position, you're going to start right in the center. Start off with an oval shape for his head, and once you got his oval shape for his head in place, you want to repeat another oval shape around that oval shape. So it's going to look something like this. And for this tutorial, I wanted to make drawing Spider-Man have certain steps to it that you can easily follow, and it's not too complicated. So we have his head for an oval, and then we have his body here. Next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and put a line through that. This line is going to indicate his shoulders. Immediately you can go to the right and put in a circle for his right shoulder, and do the same thing for his left immediately after that. That's so that things are even starting off in the beginning, and you don't forget to put it there later for whatever reason. You can know exactly where everything is. Now, once you've gotten his right shoulder in, simply take a dot here, and then you want to go ahead and draw this over. Put his shoulder, or sorry, his elbow here, and then have his wrist come here. Repeat the same thing for his left arm. You want to have a line come over like this. And then, as I usually say, you can measure it by checking with your index finger and your thumb right here, and then you just grab these 2 points, or actually I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna use index and the center finger, move it over, and then you can make a point right here where the center finger is. Draw the circle, and then bring that forearm line over just like this, and then stop. Right at the edge of the circle that we have for the end of the forearm, we're going to drop the box in. That's going to be for his hand later. This is hand shape. Do the same thing for his right hand. Do it right here. Now, once you've gotten all of this, his head, his torso, shoulders, and everything, his arms in, for his leg, he's going to be in a crawling position. So you want to bring a line out like this, and it's going to actually line up with his elbow. What's going to make this tutorial simple, because everything is going to line up. So his knee is going to be right where his elbow is. And you can just have a line come out just like this, back to his shoulder. Now, once you put his knee in position where his elbow is, you're going to follow that right behind there. And that's where his shin is going to be, and then his foot's going to come down like this. And then it's going to come over. So it'll have kind of like this shape line here, down, and then over. So we have to put this skeletal structure in place so that when we go back later to add detail, we won't forget any of the land markings on the human anatomy for Spider-Man. And then for his left leg, have it come just up under where this elbow is. This elbow's gonna line up with this knee just like this. And you put a circle here for the knee. Have this line go back, and right behind where his hand is positioned, you can put the other foot. As you can see here, you can draw a line and match the foot up with the other foot. So everything lines up. Okay, now we can start adding a little bit more detail here. So let's go ahead and start with his head. Now, as you notice, I moved his head down slightly, not too much, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see what's going on with Spider-Man's head. And so with Spider-Man's head, it's very simple. You're going to just outline the outside of where we did the oval. Follow that shape. Take your time and make sure it's noticeable. And once you close that and you got it dark enough, the face is already divided in half. So we can go ahead and put his, what I call his eye goggles on. And you can have it come in. Just like I'm doing here, draw it on the arc, and then come up just like that. Repeat that same shape for his left side, and try and make it as even as possible. Bring it up. And again, as I usually put on all of the figures on their faces, you want to have a line that stops here so you know where to stop his eye goggles. And so you bring it down and just come up in the center just like that. And remember, always put in as light as possible. Don't commit too much because you might have to make adjustments later. Bring it down like this, and it should always be a small border in between any figure that you draw. Their faces and things like that. It should always be like a hairline border between the edge of their head and face and where the actual eyes or eyebrow or whatever it is that the character looks like, so that it doesn't look flat. Now, as you see, we got his part of his mask done. And you can go in and make this thicker, and I'll show you that later. For now, what we're going to do is for his face, we're going to put land markings for the webbing. So for his webbings, he has one that comes down the center, and it stops. And I'm going to go ahead and erase the bottom of this part up so you can see exactly how I put his webbing in on his mask. And I usually draw a tiny light circle like this. Then he has another one. This is the second one. It comes about here. And then the third one comes here. Now, the fourth and fifth one is going to come off the edge of the point to his eye goggles here. The bottom is a little wider. Instead of a center line here, it's a little wider just underneath where their eyes are. If you see here. Nothing in the center. Then it comes off underneath the bottom of the goggle, another one on the side of the goggle, and then completely on the side of his head, just like this. So now we have the lines in place. We're going to do the horizontal lines. So for the horizontal lines, it comes around like this. Lightly put that in. Then there's another one that you want to bring just above that. And then there's one right at the very top of his head. And I put these in lightly like this so that later on when I speed up, I'll show you exactly how the webbing actually goes. But this right now is just so that you know where they're supposed to go. The same thing underneath the bottom of the goggle, you want to bring a line there. And then one right at the very bottom right here. Alright, so we got the webbing for his face done. Now I'm going to go back and then add in some of the anatomy for his body. So we're going to start off with his shoulder, his right shoulder. So you're going to take an arc. Darken that in, make sure you got your number 2 pencil so you can go dark, and then bring that in just like this, as you see here. Follow the circle that's already drawn there. And each tutorial, I usually state that these land markers are here so that you don't forget and you know exactly what it looks like. So when you go to draw the muscles in, it's easier. Follow the contour around just like this. And then for his back, you're going to come out like this and just put a simple arc here. Then you're going to come up out of that, and then you're going to come to the top of where the oval is here, and then repeat the same thing for the other side. How you do that is you come over and you come down and lightly put it in. I know sometimes it feels awkward going from right to left, but sometimes you can simply put a line in and kind of follow it and try and gauge it that way. Have the same thing as you have here, I'll point it out, and repeat that same thing so that it's even as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect. Always remember that it just has to look good enough to be proportionate and have symmetry or even on both sides. Now for his left shoulder, you want to do the same thing. Wrap around that circle and then come right in here, and there's a line that comes around. You're going to wrap that line under. Just like this. I meant to put one on the right side. I did forget. So I'm going to go back and put that there. And just follow what I'm doing and you'll see exactly what I'm doing with these muscles. Now, for his neck muscle, he actually has one that comes out here and wraps up this way. And do the same thing on the other side, just like that. And for this tutorial, I'll try and move at a pace that is comfortable, where you can keep up, come down and bring that line over to his face or his mask, and do the same thing for his left side. So as you see here, we have the outer portion of Spider-Man's torso and his shoulders. So everything's starting to look pretty good. Now move back to the right arm. We're gonna come back over here, and I only have the elbows in place this time because Spider-Man, I'm not gonna put too much muscle definition, but I'm gonna have this arc come in like this, follow exactly what I'm doing, come down to where his elbow is. Where the elbow is, you're gonna come around that and create that forearm shape and go down to his wrist. Just like this, very simple. Come to the underside of that and do the same thing. Repeat that, come in and up. Now what's gonna happen at this point is you're gonna come under this muscle, which is the shoulder muscle. You're gonna bring the tricep in. It's gonna come down, and you're gonna let it meet right where that actual elbow joint is here, the circle that's drawn, and come in. Now, we're not gonna do the right hand yet, or fist. What I'm gonna do is just come back over here to the left arm and work on that tricep. As you see, there's a simple line or arc that goes in like this. And repeat the same thing we did over here. Come off the back of it, around, it's a little arc, and then repeat another little small arc. Now the difference is his arm is bent this way instead of straight. I like the right arm. So what we're gonna do is have an arc that comes in against the tricep muscle here and come down for his forearm. Come under, it's a little meatier, so we'll wrap around that elbow. And you always follow the circle joint that we have drawn, or I have drawn here. And then follow that and close it off, because that's where that muscle closes over the elbow. And then put a bigger circle there for the hand once we can do that later. Now, we're gonna go ahead and move to his legs. For his legs, I'm gonna start with the knee right above the elbow here. And put a little line here, an indication. For his knee, just gonna put a little indentation and come out like this. Then come over the top, and you're just gonna follow this arc around, because that muscle is gonna be popping out because he's in such a pose to tell he's actually stretching that muscle out in his leg, so it's gonna really protrude or stick out, just like this. And you see it follow that arc right out. It's gonna come in and around. Now there's a muscle on the outside of that leg that pops out right there before it gets to the knee. You know, just put that in there. Then you're going to actually close the knee off by putting this little guy here. That little shape I just added in there on the kneecap. Now we're going to come under and do the rest of Spidey's leg here. Now for his leg, we're simply just going to create a small line that comes in like this. I'm going to draw a circle so you can follow exactly what I'm doing. Just where his chest is, that foot at a heel is going to come right up like this, and it's going to simply come around and in. So if you follow exactly what I'm doing, you're going to follow this shape around and in, and you're going to come down. You're going to come to the instep part of his foot, come down, and what's going to happen is we're going to close this off by putting a hump here and then bringing this in like this. So as you see, I have his foot drawn here completely. And I'm gonna just raise the back of his heel just a little bit. And then bring it in like this. There you go. Now for his left leg, he has a muscle that's gonna come around. You're not gonna see too much of it, because since he's in a crawl position, you're only gonna see what's most important, which is his face and torso and arms that's forward. And the legs are just under everything else. So we're gonna bring this line around and then come in. Where we're drawing the circle for the kneecap, we're just gonna bring that muscle in around, close it off, come under, and the calf muscle actually is gonna continue right here and close that knee part off. And then we can put the little knee indication here. Now, we're only gonna see the backside of the left heel because he's resting on it. And then we'll see the front part. I'll draw through his hand here so you see it. The front part of his foot's going to be right there, as you see. Now we're going to move to his right hand. For his right hand, I'm going to switch pencils, and we can use I would prefer and suggest you use a mechanical pencil for detail. And then what you're going to do is you're going to draw right off of this circle, draw another circle. I'll back up so you can see it. Then what I usually do is draw an extension, which is 2 little lines like this. That way it helps you draw this joint here that causes the thumb to flex right in between there. So the thumb is drawn and you have the outer part of the hand here. That's this part. Then you want to go ahead and have this part of his hand come out. Just a simple line there. Close this part of the wrist off, bring this around. Then put a line there, close that off. And you bring a line to here and here for the fingers. And I'll zoom in for this part so that you can see what I'm doing with the hand itself. Because it can get a bit technical with certain parts of the fingers that's kind of hard to pull off sometimes. So you bring that in, and the middle finger is going to follow right behind it. We're going to curve that one in. Then you have the ring finger that's following behind that. And then honestly, pinky, you barely see. So that hand is completed. Now when we come to the left hand, we want to draw the meaty part of it, which is the what they call the knife side of the hand here. Bring that down. For this one, it's fanned out a little bit, so we're going to just put lines in it. We're going to do one line here, bring that down, and then come out like this, because he's touching the surface of the ground that he's resting his hand on. Second finger, which is the middle finger, is going to come around like this. We're going to draw another arc here so we know exactly what we're doing. And then follow the index finger here. And when Spider-Man does his finger poses, it kind of looks a little weird, so when you draw it, you have to think about a spider and not a regular person. And with his pinky is the shortest, so it's just going to kind of go this way like this. Now we go back and actually add a little bit to it. We're going to just come around and close these up just like this. Follow what you already have drawn and repeat that shape. And do the same thing with the middle finger. And it helps to draw circles too. Circles help you draw the form of the finger so you can kind of see what's happening. Come here, add that shape there. And with this one, you're not really going to see as much. So it's going to come around like this. And then with the pinky is actually almost straight. Honestly, sometimes when you look at Spider-Man's hands, they look a little wonky. It just simply means it doesn't look right or natural. We actually got a little crazy there. I want to make that a bit clearer. So let me go ahead and add this in. And then of course the thumb is going to be hiding back here like this. Alright, and so for this phase of it, I'm going to go ahead and then add some part of the costume then. So over his back, you're going to take a line and darken this in and just carry this line over like this to the other side. Then what happens is where his forearm is, you're going to take a line right here and you're going to carry that line up, and then it's going to follow this muscle. Do the same thing with his left arm. It's doing the same thing. And you don't see the other side of it. Now for his back, he has a spider on his back, so we're gonna go ahead and make that spider right there. Have a line come around like this and curve around like this, and have low legs come out and extend down. And close that top part off and do the same thing here. And repeat the same thing. Okay. Now we're ready for the webbing, and what I'm going to do is time lapse the webbing so you'll see exactly what I'm doing. But what I'm going to do, if you're drawn to this point, we've drawn Spider-Man's whole entire body structure, his anatomical structure in his body, and I'm going to time lapse and put the web in and first erase everything so you can see, and then I'll stop and explain. Okay, if you notice, I went on ahead and cleaned everything up, and now I'm going to time lapse and show you where all the webbings go, and then I'll go ahead on and do them actually the way they're supposed to be done. I'm going to time lapse and speed that part up for you. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I have went in time lapse and mapped out where all the webbing is going to go. If you notice, I didn't actually make them have the arcs like they normally do, so I'm going to have you follow me and take a look at it step by step, and then you'll know from now on where the webbing, how the webbing is supposed to be applied. Okay, so the first thing you want to do with this mask is you want to come inward like this. Repeat. If you notice, they look kind of like W shapes. And do the same thing for the other side. Come down here, it's almost like he's frowning here, and repeat it. And all you're doing is following what was already drawn in and just going in and putting the actual webs the way they're supposed to be. And this helps, you know, so that you know where everything goes. So what I've done when I did the time lapse is I went in and put all the places where the webbings go. So that way, at this point now, there's no guessing or it doesn't look like it's in the right place. So you want to go in and just go ahead and lightly put everything in. And if you notice, I'm just taking my time and arcing everything in bit by bit. This part is a patience part, so it takes a little bit of time. Now that was to give you an idea for the face and how things are done with the arcs on here. So for the actual rest of his costume, I'm going to go ahead on and time lapse that. And once I time lapse that, that will complete the drawing of Spider-Man. And so at the end of it, I always encourage that even when I time lapse and speed up, at the end of the video and the tutorial, you can feel free to pause it and take a look at it once it's completed.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe by clicking this round button at the bottom. Also, click one of the two videos at the top. Please like this video, tell a friend, and share it on Facebook. Thank you.
The Art Hitman.